All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. This is the May meeting of the System Administrators SIG, and right now my agenda is almost completely empty, so we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. The first thing I want to ask is, I'm not going to be able to attend this meeting next month. I'll be on vacation, and I'm wondering if you all still want to have the meeting and if anybody would like to lead it next month. I mean, it doesn't really need a leader as long as everybody brings questions and things to talk about.
I think I could take that on next month. Yeah.
I think it's
check my calendar.
It's June 10th on my calendar.
June 10th.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll plan to lead it next month.
Okay, thank you very much.
Unless anybody else is eager. All right.
All right. Well, does anybody else have anything they want to announce to the group or let us all know about? All right, does anybody have any questions for the group? Anything that you would like us to consider? I have a question that kind of goes to Jason. I think it was in this group a couple months ago. You had noticed that when you were on the patrons thing, the columns were showing weird. Did you ever find an answer to that, or has there been a bug filed, or?
No, it's like local browser stuff. And
Okay.
I never filed a bug and I was supposed to. But the thing that's fixed it for me is turning off the save state checkbox for those specific tables. So like
Okay.
telling it not to save the state and then logging out to clear the cookies and logging back in has fixed it. But I do still see it come up occasionally where it's like you see columns in the table that you should never see. And then it doesn't do like the groupings and stuff. But I couldn't find a bug and I haven't filed a bug because I
Okay.
can't wrap my head around how to report that issue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I hadn't seen it when you mentioned it, and then my staff were just started noticing it a couple weeks ago, so I couldn't remember what.
I'll try and put a bug in, but yeah, it's really hard to replicate, and then it's hard to like, since it's browser side and not like Koha side, it's hard.
Yeah. I think the staff members that were noticing it were the ones who actually had in the past made changes. Like they were the ones who were aware that they could do that. And so it must be related. Like you said, if you get rid of the save state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That helps me a little bit.
Can y'all explain just a little bit about what you're talking about so I can wrap my head around it?
Yeah, let me see if I can show on mine. I just went, so when I go to my web page for my account, it makes a funny noise every time because I programmed that in. It's not doing it now for me.
This happens almost every time I go into reports. So maybe it'll happen for me. Nope. not browser.
So basically what happens, let's see here if I can share my screen. Can you see my screen? I don't have any checkouts on this one, so let me go here. Let's go to mine. I don't mind if, oh, maybe I don't want to put it on the thing though. So basically down here where it says checkouts, you'll show columns for things that you don't want to see in those columns. Let me.
On item holdings?
Yeah, it'll show like a column for previous checkouts and it'll just say previous checkouts in every row. And that's supposed to be a hidden column in the holdings, and then it'll do that for some of the other ones too. Ones that you have hidden, it'll show. I wish I had an example, but now it's not working or showing to me.
Yeah, have you had any point upgrades?
Maybe.
Let me see if I can find the bug for this. Because we had the same thing going on, and with our most recent point upgrade, there was a bug. So I'll be quiet and see if I can find it. 1 second.
All right, so I have a screen up with some checkouts, and so I'm seeing columns like date, due, title, record level, item, which I don't really care about, but that's fine. Item type, location, checked out on, call number, copy number, which I don't need, price, renew, check in, and export. Are those the type of columns you're talking about?
Yeah, and if you had it set to hide them, it wasn't hiding them. And there was a couple of extra columns that were also always supposed to be hidden that it wasn't hiding as well.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, let's got Kristi got that bug, looks like.
Okay. So there's, yeah, so I think if you open a ticket with Bywater to ask them about this bug and say, like, we understand there's a patch out there. Can we get a point upgrade scheduled? That might be the way to go.
Okay, sounds good.
If we're
And
talking
maybe
about the same thing, the columns
that
that won't
sounds like,
hide on
yeah.
configuration.
I appreciate that there are screenshots in there because I have never been able to replicate this problem, and actually seeing it in the screenshots and the bug makes me understand it better.
Good. All right, well, maybe that's solved then. So does anybody else have a question for the group?
Well, my question of the day has to do with items in damage status and whether they should be showing on the holds pick list, which generally they don't, but suddenly today there are like 4 items in repair, and I don't know that we changed anything.
Yeah, there's like a whole, like whether or not you can allow holds on damaged items.
Right, yeah.
And you have that set to don't allow.
Right now it's set to allow, and I'll have to do a log scan and see if somebody changed that recently,
Okay.
because that seems to be the main culprit. But that would make sense if you don't allow holds on damaged items, they wouldn't show available in the holds queue, I think.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Okay. All right.
I think this might
Thanks.
be related to a bug that I had previously. I'm dealing with a version of the same bug. It's affecting my holds queue. And I brought this up at other meetings before. I'm pretty sure I brought it up this one, where library A's materials are showing up on library B's holds queue kind of thing. But I feel like missing items that are missing or with the status damage did show up on my holds queue at that time as well, but this was back in 2023.
Okay.
I'll look through my tickets and see if I can grab you that bug number though.
All right. Well, thanks.
All right. Are there any bugs that somebody wants to get more eyes on that you want us to all know about? Get some comments on or anything like that?
I have one,
Okay.
but if somebody else has one, they can jump in. first. For this one, I just pasted it in the chat, and it's a newly created bug by Lucas, and it has to do with, we recently turned on purchase suggestions. And we really like that there's a notice that goes out to patrons when it's accepted or declined, but there's nothing that goes out like right when they place the suggestion. And it doesn't look like there's a good way to do that right now. So that's what that bug's about. If you're using purchase suggestions, this may be the bug for you.
Kind of like a confirmation that their suggestion's been submitted or.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know that we use Aspen, so I know that they can see their purchase suggestions in their account, but it's just that extra level of customer service. Give them that confirmation email.
Especially if your staff like helps them make it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Any other bugs? Trying to think of any of the ones that I've been.
I'm just gonna add the bugs that I was talking about previously here. These two bugs are what I'm dealing with right now. Items that are in transit showing up on HoldsQueue. It's not as bad as it was back in 2023, but it's still popping up. And I've got, I feel like Kyle is working on this, but let me look at it really quick. The last person who responded to the ticket was, no, that's me. Laura. S. Camila. But yeah, has anybody seen this recently or at all ever? Do you remember if you resolved it? What did you do?
I feel like if we've had it happen, it's not enough to be really noticeable.
It's now popping up at least like 2 times a week kind of thing, where it used to be just like a once in a while. It's now being really consistent, so that the consistency is what's bothering me, I guess. Because that usually means that it might be ramping up to something more. But I'll keep my eye on it, if anything. I'll just keep updating this ticket.
Do you use the live, where it automatically updates the queue all the like constantly, or do you just have it do it on a like once an hour or something? What is that, the real time?
I don't remember.
So I think we've turned off our real time, and that may have changed some of what we were seeing, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
Enabled right now. Yeah, the real-time HoldsQueue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's enabled.
oh, yours is enabled.
Ours is not. We unenabled it, and I'm wondering if that's why we're not seeing it as much anymore.
We also do not use it.
Yeah, we don't use it either.
Huh. I don't know.
One day it'll just be very obvious, and then we'll be like, oh, that's what it was.
Is it happening at like the same branch or?
So I have my dedicated reporters, and it is happening at their branch consistently. Yeah. but I get like outliers every once in a while. So it'll say, it's on like library A's queue list, but it's all of a sudden on library D's shelf kind of thing, or vice versa. It switches up every once in a while, but I do know that some of the staff aren't as when someone puts a ticket in, we have all staff are able to see our ticket queues so that everybody knows what's going on, kind of thing. So when that person always updates, everybody chimes in and is like, oh yeah, we're seeing that too, kind of thing. So, but yeah.
And how frequently is your holds queue run?
For the big three, at least twice a day.
Well, I mean, I guess, I mean, how often is the cron job building the hold queue? Is
Yeah,
it like once
yeah, so the front, so we have the big three, they run it at least twice a day, and each branch runs it at least once a day. And we've got 14 branches. The big three are the ones that are mostly seeing this issue. So I wonder, are you thinking there's something specifically like it's related to my branch?
Well, I was trying to think of like a couple things that, you know, just with other not necessarily hold queue related things. Like if it were one branch, maybe it would be with how they happen to be trapping their holds and maybe the order of operations there. But
Oh.
doesn't sound like it's that. But if you're only building your hold queue twice a day, it might be like a lag time thing. And this is just, you know, I'm not the hold queue wizard, but just thoughts. Like I'm not sure if maybe if your hold queue ran a little bit more frequently, it would catch up to some of those statuses.
Okay. I'll send out an email just telling them maybe just to test it out, see if they can run it once and
well, so I think we're talking about two different things. I think what you're talking about is how often does the branch go in and view their hold queue and then print it out.
Yeah.
And what I'm talking about is how often does Bywater have your cron job that builds the hold queue set to run?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that would be like an ask Bywater how often they have that configured to run.
Thank you. I will update my ticket now.
I don't know if it'll help, but I you know, trying to think of everything.
Yeah, at this point, anything will help, I think. So thank you.
Oh, and Wally, I see your chat. So yes, I thought that was the same suggestion, but that is only for staff use. That gets sent to other staff members when so if you wanted it to be anytime we get a suggestion coming through, I want an email address, staff email address to get a notification. That's what that is. I really, really would have liked it to have been a customer facing one, but yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a shame. I think so, unless you happen to notice if yours is going to. Where'd the Wally go?
Maybe.
You're muted.
I'm here. I'm sorry, I'm dealing with about 40 things and listening. What did you say, Kristi? I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm looking at the screenshots that you put in for that new suggestion email.
Yeah.
And we were really hoping that is what it does, but unfortunately it's an internal email that only goes to a staff member anytime a new suggestion is submitted.
Okay. I thought our patrons were getting it, but I'll have to ask
And you would think because it shows up in their notification log.
Yeah.
But yes, this has been a learning curve for me this week, but I'll paste the bug. But yeah, apparently ideally it should not be showing up in a customer's notification log if it's not going to them. So I'll find
Exactly.
that bug too.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I was tuned out.
No apologies. I'm happy that, I'm happy to have your thoughts here.
Rebecca, you put in a bug in the chat that's about, is that on OPAC searches? It's search limit available does not hide damage, withdrawn, or not for loan, or is it on staff side?
That is on the staff side. So that is in Koha, and that's a very, 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 very old bug. And I think it failed Q&A, so it's just kind of stalled. Last update was in January. So if anyone would like to comment or CC themselves on that, that would be great. Thanks.
I know the deadlines are coming up for 2505. Is anyone anxious to see something? Has anyone been like tracking something and be like, come on, QA? Or
Yes, the one I just put in the chat has passed QA. It's just not, it just hasn't been pushed yet. And I'm really hoping that it gets in there before for this release. This is the local holds priority change. So right now, the local holds priority works on a branch by branch basis. And this switches local holds priority to add library groups into that mixture too. So we'll be able to set things so that this branch, this item, this branch, those holds get filled first. And then this item, this holds group, from this holds group, those holds get filled next, and then everybody else after that. Or the way we plan on setting it is this holds group, this item, this holds group, they fill first, and then everybody else after that. So that's what we're looking forward to, and it's been paid for by CLAMS and NEKLS, so mostly CLAMS.
they've got the clams.
I suggested this a long time ago, before I was at NEKLS, when it was very important, because every library where I used to work in the ValNet consortium, except for two, are members of districts. And here in NEKLS, there's only 2 districts out of 50 libraries. So it's less important for us. And so we agreed to pay for 20, I think it was 20 or 25% of the funding. So since it only affects 20 to 25% of our libraries. So. Jason's excited about the SIP one. I'm excited about that too. I didn't know about it until Jason told me about it last week. So.
Yeah, we played around with this one in Baby Devs last week. So if you want to like see what it looks like, you can do that. It looks like it got signed off. So I'm excited to see this one come in, because it will pull all of your, hopefully, SIP configs that are in the background and put them in a nice GUI where you can go in the admin panel and like adjust and see and make new SIP connections without opening a ticket.
I don't have a testing environment set up. Do you have a testing environment you could show us that on, since you're here? And
Not today. No, I'm on my home computer. The auditors have taken over the conference room at work, so I stayed here. But maybe someday I'll get that working. I tried to set it up earlier in the week and I couldn't figure it out, because I am yet a baby dev. I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, Jason,
Yes.
can we see all the fields and stuff too that are inside the zip lines? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no, it looks like
Oh,
it's full featured. It's got all the little yeses and nos. You can add additional fields. It looks great from what I saw.
oh, that's awesome. I'll have to go back and look at that video. Thanks.
That sounds
There's
really
a
exciting.
video.
Yeah, look at the baby does recording because we did test. John got it up and running on his box, so there's at least something to look at there.
Cool. I'm gonna go look at that video as soon as this meeting's over. Maybe even before.
So I have a question that may relate to holds. Does anyone or any one of you use bookings, and how you kind of, I mean, my head understands the difference between booking and holds, but I'm still I don't, and I don't want to really do the booking because it will confuse
Yeah,
everybody.
I can hop in. My library uses bookings a good deal.
Oh,
And
great.
I think one of the things that helps clear up the most confusion is that the stuff that we have for booking, it does not circulate. So you can't check it out. You can't pull it from the shelf and check it out. It's only booking.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So that really helps clear things up in our system. And it tends to be the things that we have bookable are things that our librarians use for programming, like story time kits. Like if there's puppets for a certain story time, they book that ahead of time. If there are our public facing bookings are things that teachers use, like they're sets of 18 books to use to teach a book in language arts classes or other classes. And then we also have some curriculum support kits, which are also teachers can use them if they're teaching about like the planets or something like that. There's a couple types of things of those. So those only exist to be booked.
Oh, okay. And so you set it up like on an item level, you enable booking. Is that what you?
Yeah, so the things that can be booked are their own item type, and we make them bookable on the item level. You could make it so that, you know, that the items on a bib are bookable, and then you would not necessarily have to do the item type, but I don't know if I'd recommend doing that because we haven't tried. But it does work really nice to give your bookable stuff its own item type.
Okay.
We enabled the bookings module basically on the staff side, like you're doing, not public side yet, just to kind of dip the toe in there to see how that works, because there's two branches moving transit items back and forth. And we did create an item type for it. That way we could easily just have it all searchable by that. But it then everything was booked item level though, because you have to turn it on at the item level. And it worked out really well.
You used to have to. As of
Right.
2411, now you can make an item type bookable.
Yeah, it worked really well. So you can see all the staff know where it's going and all that kind of stuff, who has it and everything like that. It's a good feature.
Yeah, so I will point out that right now there is not like an OPAC or an Aspen side to booking. So ours is all staff mediated. And so, you know, if anyone wants to partner on sponsoring some development, that's something to take a look at. But yeah, right now it's staff mediated.
Okay. That's probably why I got like how my patrons book things. That's
yeah. So we have a note on the bib record that says call librarian to book this material.
I don't want to take Thank you so much, Kristi. That's very, very helpful. Thank you. I don't want to
Yeah.
take too much time. If I could contact you offline, that would
Sure.
be that would be great. Thank you, Kristi.
Yeah, I will put my email in chat.
Thank you all. That made my day.
All right, if we don't have any more questions or bugs, does anybody have any cool reports they want to show or questions about reports?
I'm looking to see if I've written any reports since the last time we met.
I went down a rabbit hole after, so we had a little Kansas meeting and we talked about hold slips a lot. And so I was playing with adding our courier labels to the hold slips, but then we decided, no, we don't really want to do that. So then I wrote a report that generates a courier label. And I'm only half done with it, but I can show you where I'm at with it. So that's here somewhere. So this is a report that pulls a bunch of data from the libraries table, libraries admin table. And then I made a template that turns it into a table with buttons. And then when you click the button, it makes the courier label. And that's as far as I got. And I don't know, like, that wasn't where I was headed with it at all. I actually had it where it like flipped it sideways and put it on the hold slip. So like when you send a hold, it prints out a courier label. But then my ILL department was like, yeah, but we don't need that for every single hold because sometimes we send 10 books to one place. So I was trying to come up with a different way you could like just shoot out a label to the printer easily. So that's what I've been playing with today.
I think there are three of us in the room, or two others of us in the room that are really excited about this for because we can modify what you've done with very little change, very few changes.
The only problem is I need more fields. So I don't think I'm going to be able to like use this until 2411 where we're getting the ability to add additional fields to the library's admin area. Because I need one for the courier route, I need one for the courier code, I need one for, there's like an extra code they started putting on it, and I've used branch country, I've used branch address 3, I've used all the extra fields already. So yeah, I'm excited for that to come in, and I think that one is for sure pushed. So that's exciting.
And that one you're talking about, Jason, it's just for the, like in the libraries, you can add extra fields, so you can add country or something that's not,
Yeah.
or something that's not already there.
It's basically like patron extended attributes, but for your library administration.
That's cool. I don't know if we would use it, but it's cool.
I'm excited about this feature because I suggested it a few years ago and I got a quote on it, and then we decided not to pay for it, and somebody added it anyway. So that's one of the great things about Koha. I did create two reports that I see that so in our system, I don't let the library directors have access to modify their own circulation rules. And I'm sure everybody here understands why I wouldn't want to do that. Because I've been in that position where somebody's accidentally copied their rules to every other library. And that's no fun. But the problem is that then they want to ask questions about their rules, and they can't just go to the system administrators module and see their rules. And for a long time, I've had some reports that get the whole circulation matrix. But I added a couple for the default checkout, hold, and return policy, and the checkout hold policy by patron category. And I wrote them so that you know, you can choose a branch. Where's the library that's got a lot of rules, like Payola? Actually, for this, they don't have a lot of rules because it's the default. There's just one. And so it'll show their specific branch in one row, and then the fallback, all libraries in the other row. And then the same is true for this is the specific stuff. And they're a good example because they do have a lot of rules. I haven't, I lost my Zoom controls, they're there. So I'll add those to the wiki probably this week sometime. But I think I've got a report now that reports on every part of the circulation rules page so that my libraries can find out the rules without having access to those pages where they can accidentally break everything if they want to.
I have a report from Bywater that I'm really happy with. I'm just gonna put it in the chat here. The sequel in the chat, just so. Oh, nope. That's much too big. Basically, it's a last copy report showing what's been checked out, what's in transit, make sure that there are no not for loan items or lost items in the report. And I can edit by, I can filter out information based off of like what item type I want to show and which branch it's going to focus on, basically. I really like it. I'm just gonna maybe put first half and then the second half. But if you guys would like to try it out, I think Eric was the one who wrote this, and I'm just really happy with that. I love this report. And it's helping me a lot because one of our libraries is closing right now, and I'm having to suppress materials, and only the last copy items are the things that I don't want to suppress. So I'm taking those off the shelf to place at another library kind of thing. It's a whole thing, but yeah, I really like this report.
All right. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? Issues, things you're excited about coming soon? We kind of mentioned that already in the bugs. Anything else? I think when Andrew was in charge of this group, he always offered to just sit and stare at each other for the rest of the meeting.
Does anybody know if there's a way in Bugzilla to get a list of all the bugs that you're watching?
Yeah, on your home, watching.
Yeah,
There
That
is
you've-
in the advanced search.
been added to the CC list or whatever. That
Yeah, here. So if you go to Bugzilla and you go to search, and then you go down here to advanced search. Yeah, there's simple search and advanced search. And if you go over to advanced search and you go and say a CC list member, That should show you everything that you're a CC on.
Excellent. Thank you.
There's
I'm
a,
only a CC on 124 things. Wow.
Yeah, I'm hoping to clean some out. So
I
thanks.
thought this was a default thing, but like after you do that search, if you go down to the very bottom, there's a remember search as box, and then you can like remember it as my CCs, and then it'll be in the bottom bar, the very last one. So if you say remember as my
Oh,
CCs,
must enter a name.
yeah, then it'll be at the very bottom in that footer next to where it says my bugs, and then you don't have to redo the search every time.
yeah.
So now George has it there in his footer next to my bugs.
Cool. Thank you.
I suppose you could just do that to track somebody else's bugs that they.
Yeah, you could track George's bugs if you want.
Yeah. Welcome to my mind.
I was gonna look for any of the ones that I have, but I cleared all of my cookies and cache and everything on my computer because I was having issues, and now I can't log back into Bugzilla at the moment. I'm gonna have to troubleshoot that because and my mind is blank. I can't think of anything.
You know, here's a question of this. I tried this a couple of months ago. Maybe I guess more than a couple of months ago. It's probably September or October. I just as an experiment, I turned on multi-factor authentication for a test account and tried using it, and I had issues where it just wasn't working. And I figured it was probably me. And so it's like I would enter the code and I just couldn't get a login through that account. Has anybody else turned on multi-factor authentication? Are you using it? And is it working? Are things going the way you expect them to? That sounds like a no.
I'm not sure. That's honestly, I think that might be the IT department. I'm mostly the co-op department.
Well, there is a way to set up multi-factor authentication for Koha. You need like an authenticator app, and you turn it on, and then you tell the account that you want to use multi-factor authentication. You get an email that has like a QR code in it. You scan the QR code with your authenticator app, and then when you try and log into Koha, it asks for the code from your authenticator app. And that's where I got the trouble, is that 4 out of 5 times the code from my authenticator app wouldn't let me in. The 5th time it would, but 4 out of 5 times I would get this code is incorrect message. So
Then no, I don't believe so.
yeah, I was curious to try it out. So
We don't use it, but I'm going to pretend like we do, and we all should. So anyone watching the recording knows that we're all using 2-factor authentication for staff accounts.
that would be my ultimate goal. And I know that I believe that CLAMS uses YubiKeys and that they have multi-factor authentication on, but I don't see anybody from CLAMS here today. So
I'm here from CLAMS.
oh yeah.
We use Google as our SSO. So they log into their Google accounts and that lets them in, because we didn't want to have the requirement that they have their phones on them, staff,
Okay.
and it's only the authenticator app. And then for some of our other accounts, we use they have the option of how they authenticate for Google. So some of them use passkeys, some use their phones. It's kind of staff by staff.
I see. Okay. That is my goal eventually, to turn it on and find a way to make it viable to use for all staff. Because right now I've beefed up the password requirements for staff accounts to levels that they think I'm punishing them. I'm not punishing them by saying you need a 50-character password. It's not that big, but it's big. But they think I am. They think I'm doing it just to be mean to them, but I'm not. It's just that I don't want 2468 to be a login anymore.
We have a bit of a hybrid situation that we had talked Bywater into setting up for us. So the rule from our county is that if you are accessing citizen information and we are not from a trusted IP address, meaning within our facility, then they do not have to use multi-factor authentication. But if they're outside the facility, then they do need to use multi-factor authentication. So we actually have two URLs, and one of them does not use multi-factor and just uses koha login. But then if they're outside, it uses single sign-on with Microsoft 365, which does enforce. So we get kind of high. So Microsoft can say, I have some trusted IP addresses. You don't need to do multi-factor authentication if they're behind one of these IP addresses. But if they're not, then they do need multi-factor authentication. And
so yeah, that wouldn't work for us because we have libraries in rural areas where they cannot get a fixed
static
IP from their providers. So
that's when we first got that edict from our the county. It was like, you mean I'm going to have staff take their phones with them out to public service desks, and the county doesn't provide the phone, so that just wasn't going to work for us, and they weren't funding YubiKeys or anything, so we had to come up with something, and found out that they would allow access without the multi-factor as long as they were standing behind a library computer and a trusted IP address. But as soon as they're offsite, they have to use the multi-factor, and Microsoft makes that possible with the trusted IPs. So
yeah, I've been thinking about the idea of having the NEKLS office acquire YubiKeys for all the staff for all the libraries. So
as soon as someone wants to fund the YubiKeys, I'm all for it. But yeah,
that
and then there's a question of so what happens when someone forgets to bring their YubiKey that day? Send them home, go get it. What do you do? I don't know. So it's a whole series of policies and procedures I don't really want to have to dive into.
Could you use something like Bitwarden? We use Bitwarden for multi-factor for some of the accounts our staff access, and we ask that all of our staff members use Bitwarden to manage their work passwords.
We have a password manager available to them, and I think the only people who actively use it are the IT department. It's like and we actually use it to distribute passwords. Like, okay, here's your password, log into your password manager, and they're like, the what? So they have it available to them. Some of them use it, but it's not universally used. Very few people actually work outside the library ever. So the one thing that the benefit, the other thing with the single sign-on is that it doesn't log people out automatically. It'll just, if the 30-minute timer or however the login time is expires, and we have the koha password set to 30 minutes because people shouldn't just stay logged in all day, and they would if they could, because they share computers, especially at circulation desks. We want individuals to be logging in as themselves, whoever's actually doing the work. And so it's set to 30-minute expiration. So after 30 minutes, if there's no activity, they have to log back. Someone has to log back in again. But with a single sign-on, that 30 minutes expires and it just logs you right back in again automatically. So I use it at my desk, so I don't have to be logging in all day long. But if it's someone who's normally doesn't have a PC that's just their PC, they don't even get those credentials, because I don't want someone logged in all day long. And I tell them, because it also logs them into their email. So we definitely don't need any branch managers logging in at the circulation desks with all their email available to everybody who works for them. So try not to have them use it anywhere but at a desk that they're not sharing.
Well, here's another password question. And with the last upgrade, we turned on force password reset when set by staff. Is anybody else using that? And how are you guys finding it? I found that there was a lot of pushback from my member libraries And then I turned it on and I haven't heard a single complaint. So I'm wondering if anybody else has had any staff pushback. Well, I guess I'm wondering, one, is anybody using it? Two, are the people that are using it, are you having any problems with it or any pushback from staff?
So that what that basically does is if staff member sets the password for a patron, then when they go to log in the first time, it asks them to reset their password.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's only when a staff member creates a new account for a patron and sets the password for them. Then the first time they try to log in, the OPAC is, whether it's Koha or Aspen Discovery, is going to say, hey, this is your first time logging in. You need to change the password that was given you at the library when your account was created. So I'm just wondering how that's going for it. Is anybody using it and how's it going?
Haven't used it, but it sounds kind of cool.
I floated it with my people and got like harsh pushback, so we haven't moved forward with it yet. I would like to just turn it on at some point and see if they really do have as many problems as they want. Their main concern was with Hoopla because they have lots of problems. We have lots of problems with patrons getting confused about Hoopla, like, so they want to be able to set their password when they're standing there, get it Hoopla set up, and then if the person goes home and has to go reset their password, then it desyncs their Hoopla connection because they have to go and resync it, and it's messy. So that's why we've left it off at this point.
Canopy's
Okay,
messy
interesting.
about that too.
What I turned it on and I told everybody that it was coming in the next upgrade. And they said, well, we don't like that. We don't like that. And I said, it's coming in the next upgrade. I didn't tell them that it was an option that I was turning on.
I've played that game before.
Yeah. I also have done the stealth upgrade, which is when you create a jQuery, something in jQuery that changes the behavior of Koha that you want it changed, but it's not available in Koha. So you write the jQuery and then you turn it on. You install that jQuery during an upgrade or shortly after the upgrade. You say, oh, it's just part of the upgrade. I got no control over it.
The first class I took on being a system administrator was the instructor mimed pulling out a hat and putting it on, and she said, sometimes you just got to put on your Napoleon hat. And that sounds like a Napoleon hat moment.
I had never heard it called that. I always call it the stealth upgrade. So.
So on the password reset subject, is there a way to do that for staff accounts?
If you turn the preference on, it affects all accounts. So if you created an account for a new staff member, the first time they go to log in, it's going to ask them to update the password.
But it has to be set for everyone, or can you separate staff and just?
It's set for everybody. There's no way to. It doesn't break out by patron category, at least not yet.
Okay.
That is one of the things that I appreciate about minimum password length. Min password length and requires strong password have been broken out into the patron category administration so that they're able to be set on a category by category basis instead of being set system wide. But I don't see that for. Oh, it is. There is in the patron category controls, there is an option to force new patron password reset on a category by category basis. The options are to follow the system preference, to force or don't force. So this could be done on a patron category by patron category basis. I did it for everybody, so.
But isn't it only when you log into the OPAC that you get that password change prompt?
Yes, actually, it says here only after the first OPAC login. So
you could still like set up the staff account, make them go to the OPAC to set up a new password, and then they could use that to log into the staff account, I guess.
yeah, well, and with our system, since we're using Aspen Discovery, we have a lot of people that in order to do some of the things they need to do as a staff member in Aspen, they have to log into Aspen. So I guess that would be the next thing to ask the developers to do, is make a system preference to do essentially the same thing on the staff interface. Sorry.
Is everyone already migrated to Cloudflare by any chance? Is there anyone not on Cloudflare right now? We're still on .com rather than .io.
You mean for SIP connections?
Yes.
We're still on .com, so
Okay.
We haven't moved yet either.
I keep expecting to get an email any day now, so.
Same here.
We're half and half. Half of our SIPs we've gone ahead and tested and moved them over to IO, but like Aspen and Koha are still on the .com.
Just making sure we're not behind because we haven't moved at all.
My suspicion is that I've got a vacation planned in June. They'll schedule it to happen that week.
Is anyone who has moved using Stunnel? Because we use Stunnel wherever the vendor is willing to use it. Oh. Guess not.
Some people might want you to explain Stunnel. I know what it is, but
Stunnel is a way to encrypt the otherwise open SIP transaction. So basically we have a server on our end that captures that we send the SIP transaction to, SIP request to, and then that communicates with a server at Bywater's end that decrypts the message and sends it to the Koha server itself. So that it's not just being sent in the clear across the internet with patron information. So I was just wondering if anyone who has moved behind Cloudflare is using Stunnel. It'd be nice if we could stop using SIP in the first place, but that's a whole other conversation.
Is just to be clear, Sally, is Stunnel? I just put something in the chat. Is that the link for Stunnel? I might just look
I don't know.
that's the logo I've got on the Stunnel running on my system.
Yeah, that looks like it. I know it's not a complicated application to set up on a basic Linux server. But it depends on, but it has to be, for us, we use Easy Proxy and Envisionware locally, and both of those use SIP connections. So we route them through an on-prem Stunnel server. And then, but some of the vendors, I'm trying to remember who does and who doesn't. A couple of the vendors do have their own Stunnel servers, some of them don't. So it's kind of hit and miss whether the service provider, whether it's Hoopla or Overdrive or whoever actually uses Stunnel or not. And I don't remember who is who.
Are you working with TechLogic at all by any chance?
TechLogic, we're not. We don't have any business with them.
Okay.
They should. I mean, if you were open a ticket and say, hey, you got Stunnel? Because it sounds like you do self-checkout.
Right.
TechLogic, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got
that's a big one.
That's the whole reason why we're not on .io is because our AMHs break every time we try and switch over. So we're still trying to figure it out. So maybe we'll give this a try.
It's worth asking. I know Bywater will do it. It definitely works on the Bywater side. It's just whether the vendor will do it or not.
Love it.
And basically all we do is we just, when the question is, where's your SIP server? Instead of pointing directly to the Koha server SIP address, we point to our internal Stunnel. And then there's configuration in the STUNL server that says, oh, send it over here. That's the server you want to talk to, which is Bywater STUNL server. And so, but Bywater will help you set it up. Whether the vendor you're working with will work with that or not is another question.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, well, I have to go. So does anybody else have anything real quick they need to add, or can we adjourn for the day? All right, thank you guys for all coming. Chip
Thanks,
will
Juliet.
be leading next month in June 10th. I won't be here, but I look forward to watching the video and seeing what you talk about then.
Okay. See you next month.
Yep, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.